Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Assalatu wassalam ala Rasulihil Kareem. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Very good afternoon to all of you. I, Dr. Hafsa Tasneem, express my heartfelt welcome to all of our respected and honorable participants. May the peace and blessings of Almighty Allah be upon you. We are honored to have each one of you here at this seminar on the topic Children in Conflicts, Humanity at Risk. Your presence enrich our gathering and we look forward to a meaningful exchange of knowledge and insights. May our time together be blessed and rewarding. I would like to welcome Madam Rahmatunnisa Sahiba, National Secretary, Jamaat-e-Islami Hind, on dais. Now I would like to invite our guest speaker, Honorable Mrs. Sameena Afshan Sahiba, for keynote address on the topic Children in Conflicts, Humanity at Risk. Madam Sameena Afshan Sahiba is from Mangalore and she is the editor of Aura E-Magazine, a digital monthly magazine, which encourages women to pick up their pen about their rights and humanity. It's an honor to have Mrs. Sameena Afshan Sahiba with us today. I would like to call Madam Sameena Afshan Sahiba.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable dignitaries on the dais, esteemed guests of today's function, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May peace, mercy and blessings of the Almighty be on all of you. Children in conflict, humanity at risk. My topic for today is this. And today is Children's Day. It's a joyous occasion. I may sound a bit pessimistic and depressing my talk while we are talking about the conflict the children are facing. But although it is a little sad to know the state of our children, whatever is happening in and around the world, yet it is very important to ponder upon and take action quickly on whatever is happening to our children. So although unaccounted numerous ways we see regarding how children are put into conflict, how children are in crisis, what problems children are facing, I would highlight a few in front of you, inshallah. We need to know these things actually. Again, I repeat, although it may sound a little sad, we need to know this because we are human beings, humanitarian values, humanitarian emotions and mercy should be in our innate nature. And to bring it out whenever it is suppressed, we need to know what is going around the world. We have to remind ourselves and remind others about it. Being neutral during this ongoing onslaught on our children, on the children of the world, it will be a grave mistake on our part to be neutral. So, as soon as we say children in conflict, we remember children in conflict zones, children in armed conflict zones. Yes, we are talking about that also. Children pay the highest price in any armed conflict. If you have seen the history of the world and whatever is going on now, children are the most affected and they pay the highest price. The UNICEF reports a couple of months ago, couple of years ago, UNICEF reported that 1/4 of the world's children are in the area of conflict, in the area where there are armed conflicts. So what happens when armed conflict is there? We know that they are killed, of course, orphaned, they are disabled for life, they are separated from their families. As a result of being separated from their families, they inevitably become heads of the families sometimes. And then due to that, they are vulnerable to forced labor and sexual exploitation also. We know all these things happen. Basic service is disrupted in the conflict zone. As we see now, what is happening in Palestine, in Gaza, basic service is disrupted. Children will be malnutrition. Children, we have seen in history that children die out of diseases that are really curable. Okay, and they are mentally affected. The trauma of harrowing experiences, the psychological impact altogether, Children in conflict area are affected in different ways and very terrible ways. So, we need to talk about Gaza. Inshallah, I'll come to it a little later. Because before going to these things, I will talk about it. We need to know that conflict is not only in the armed conflict area. Conflicts are there in our families. Conflicts are there in the society. Conflicts are there everywhere with children. Crisis awaits children in various ways in numerous places. In our family, outside, in the world, everywhere. I would like to point out a few. There are so many, and time will not permit me to talk about everything in detail. First thing, inside our homes, family discords. Children are in crisis because of the family discords. When poorly resolved conflicts are there within the family, within the parents, between parents, when there is toxic interactions, arguments and counter-arguments, blame game, children are affected. Studies say that children as young as 6 months old will be affected when parents argue, when parents are in conflict, when parents are unhappy. And then it goes up to young adults of 19, 20, 21, they are also affected. So, they have a permanent emotional change in them when children are caught in the crossfire within the family, when parents argue and when parents are in toxic interactions. So, just because, we may say that, oh, it was not physical, the fight is not physical, but just because it's not physical doesn't mean that it is not toxic. The toxicity is more. When abuses are thrown upon hurled upon each other, children will be caught in between them. Also, children are targets. Many a times when parents want to separate, they make children a means of threat. The custody of children become means of threat. They fight for the children. And children are again in conflict. So these are things I will not go in details. These are the things what are happening, what is going on in our houses. So children's mental health will be affected, their behavior will be affected, their social and academic performances will be affected, their cognitive performances will be affected. And what we have to do, there is a solution for that. It's not that there's no conflict anywhere. There will be conflict within the family, but parents need to adhere to etiquettes of arguments. Parents need to solve it amicably. And that will teach the children how to solve problem. Actually, when this happens, it will teach the children how to solve problem. They will learn how to solve problem. They will learn that skills. They will learn to regulate their emotions. They will learn the conflict solving skills. So this is what the parents have to do actually to solve this problem, to bring children out of crisis, to make children healthy mentally and physically, to make them beneficial children to the society. They need to do these things. When children are caught, when we see children caught in such conflict inside homes, what do we think about the outside world? Outside world is more cruel to the children. I will talk a little about child trafficking. One among the crises that children face is child trafficking. National Crime Records Bureau, it says that one child disappears every 8 minutes in Indian context, in India. Every 8 minutes, one child disappears. They are not found anywhere. They are not found after that. So, what child trafficking is done? Why child trafficking is being done? For begging, mainly we know that, for labor and for sexual exploitation. We know there is a US-based organization called Save the Children organization. It says children account for 27% of all the human trafficking in the world. 27% of the human trafficking is children. Children account for that. And 2 out of every 3 children are girls. 2 out of every 3 children are girls. So, most of them are refugees and migrants. Just imagine, they become refugees and migrants because of a conflict area, to escape from a conflict zone, from armed conflict zone, and then they end up being trafficked for different reasons. So, what do they do with these children? Their childhood is completely gone. What do? They are sent to work forcefully to factories, to construction sites. They were in houses as domestic servants, on streets as child beggars, in wars as child soldiers also. So many times in farms, in restaurants, in hotels, sex workers, strip clubs, massage centers. Children are trafficked to go there. We Google and see whatever I'm telling here, whatever picture I'm giving here is just 1% of what is actually happening around. So, and when we say child trafficking, then it automatically comes to child labor, because mostly child trafficking is done for child labor. And we tend to think that, the factories in rural areas, or, factories in some areas of some urban areas of India, maybe there the child labor is going on. Child labor, we cannot imagine that it is rampant in the corporate world. The famous brands, famous consumer brands, you Google it and see I don't want to name. Actually, it is evident, and many of us know that which brands use child labor. Okay, popular fashion brands, popular tobacco brands, popular sports brands, multinational technological corporations, telephones and technology we use. All these use child labors. All these are guilty of taking labor from children. Children are made victims in their industries and factories. Amnesty International gives all these records. It says as young as 7 years to 12 years old children are in these, what we think multinational companies and corporate companies, and where white collar job is there. Behind the scenes, it's child labor. From these telephones and technological corporations, they use children from the Republic of Congo to mine cobalt there. Cobalt mining, 7 to 12 years of children do that. And then many child laborers are brought through trafficking from Myanmar, Bangladesh, Cambodia, and many different African countries. So whenever we flaunt wearing these branded items, carrying the branded handbags, and flaunting the use of technologies and telephones, we should remind ourselves that child trafficking and child labor is behind this. So what is the solution? We need to raise our voice. We need to make them know that this is happening. When Amnesty International brings this forward, for a while they make it up, giving some clarifications, but then again they return back to the same old story. So a few of the children's conflicts which I want to say. One more thing is that it's aversion towards bearing and rearing children. That is another conflict the children are facing. It's a fashion of not having children is a fashion. Okay, we are living in an era where children are found to be liabilities. Not having children becomes a fashion, and people don't want to take the responsibility of bringing up children. Back in the days, children were blessings, right? We know. In our culture, in the incredible Indian culture, pregnancy was celebrated. Elsewhere in the world also, pregnancy is celebrated. A would-be mother is always, taken care of. She's been given all the comfort. And the child is welcomed. So many times, the Bible says, behold, children are heritage from the Lord. The fruit of the womb, a reward. If we see any scriptures in the world, religious scriptures, I think children are always found to be blessings. The Quran calls children as gift. Okay. There are instances in the Quran where the messengers of God asked for offsprings, invoked God for offsprings. And while they invoked God for offsprings, in the Arabic language, when someone tells, give me, it is atini. Give me is atini. But when they invoke the words of invocation, the prophets did in the Quran, the messengers of God did in the Quran, they did not use this word atini, give me. They said habli, give me as a gift. Habli comes from the word hiba. Hiba is a gift. So whenever children are asked, like Zakaria, Prophet Zakaria alayhi salam asked, Rabbi habli, oh Allah, gift me with a child. Ibrahim alayhi salam asked, Rabbi habli minas salihin, gift me with a righteous child. So children are hiba according to the Quran. They are gift. Children are amana, trust according to the Quran. They are never liability. So we think, the world makes us think certain standards are set up to bring up children. Certain human psychology is molded in such a way that children should be brought up in certain way, and when that certain way is not, we can't meet that certain way, then we don't need to have children. Okay, the Quran says, do not kill children fearing poverty. The human psychology, Quran has seen and warned people about this. That La taqtulu awladakum khashyata imlaq. Do not kill your children fearing poverty. So female, when killing children comes, I remember female feticide also. Well, female feticide, we must have read and, heard so many things about it. When we think about it, again we think rural, that old thinking is like that. Rural areas are like that. In Indian context, if you see, if we see the studies done and the statistics, if we go into the statistics, we can see that urban India is equally there in female feticide. Rich and educated urban Indians are also involved in this, although their technology and their ways might be different. In 2019, Aura e-magazine carried this article in 2021. In 2019, the statistics says an official government data in one of the states of India. Okay, one of the districts of Indian state, about 132 villages in that particular district of that state. In 3 months, not even one female child was born. In 132 villages, in 3 months, no girl child was born. So just imagine how many abortions were done because the child was female. Although there are legislations and rules and laws and offense it is recorded, everything is there, but this did not come to an end. Again, I would like to remind ourselves about the ayah, about the Quranic verses that were recited here at the beginning. The Quranic verses of that surah, that particular chapter, talks about the scenes on the Day of Judgment. Different things on the Day of Judgment. One of the scenes is وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ بِأَيِّ ذَنْبٍ قُتِلَتْ. It is that a female fetus or a female child will be asked, for what sin were you murdered? For what sin were you killed? Okay. The ones who did that action were so much ignored, will be so much ignored that they will not even be asked about it. The one who is killed will be asked, why were you killed? What was your sin to be killed? So, female feticide and not having to, look after children, all this has become a trend, a fashion, wherein children are in conflict. Children are made to feel that they are a liability. Girls are made to feel that they are a big liability. So children suffer all these kind of conflicts. Another conflict what children suffer in these days, during these days, another crisis what the children are in, is being, it's another extreme, is being overprotective of children. They are spoon-fed. They are not allowed to think. They are just told what to think. They are not taught how to think. Okay, and then they are not allowed to think. They are not allowed to explore anything. They are made handicapped by, making everything easy for them. And sometimes they are pressurized. After doing all that, they are pressurized to fulfill certain dreams of the parents. If we see the dinner table discussions, okay, of the, so-called overprotective parents. If we see the dinner table discussions, it will be about grades, marks, professions, different professions, highest paid professions in the world, applications, okay, admissions, comparisons between different students, different children, criticism finally. When all these things happen, maybe the dinner ends with criticism. So, children are in this conflict also. Biggest conflict. We can see suicides day to day. On a day-to-day basis, we can see students committing suicides because of pressure of learning, pressure of getting certain marks, pressure of doing so well that, she'll be compared with some other children. So, anxiety, depression, everyday news this. Children are in depression, children are in anxiety, children are having nervous breakdowns, children commit suicide. So, this is something which is going around every day. And the cruel capitalism also doesn't leave our children. It has grabbed everything to its fold, actually. Exploiting the innocent minds with cartoons, with TV shows, with movies. All what they have to sell, all their vested interests are put into the innocent minds when they are very small. So this is another conflict in which our children are today. So many things I pointed out. We spoke about the family discords, we spoke about the child trafficking, child labor, children in conflict zones, children not bearing children, female feticide, not welcoming children to the world. And then we also spoke about the overprotective parents and the capitalism what is doing to the world. So with all this conflicts, I think today's talk would be incomplete without me talking about Gaza, without me talking about the children of Palestine. As you all know, it's a war against children of Gaza. It's not war, apparently when we see people say it's a war against Palestine, maybe Israel is attacking Palestine, it is purely war against the children of Gaza. More than 100 children are killed every day since October 7th. October 7th, the onslaught started. And since then, every day more than 100 children are killed. Every 15 minutes, one child dies in Gaza. And this is not only this 1 month thing, right? We know that. When our media is portraying this, they talk about, what happened on October 7th and then as a result, what happened. Okay, when the resistance, when the Palestinian resistance did something, then this happened. The media talks about it. But then we know that it's 75 years of occupation. 75 years of occupation and 75 years of torturing, 75 years of killing children, 75 years of grabbing the land of the original inhabitants of the land. And more than 15 years, I think about 16 years of besieging Gaza. Gaza is a strip. We know that, right? It's a small strip. It's just a strip of 25 miles long with a population of 2.3 millions. Out of that 2.3 millions, about 43% are children in Gaza. And then 75 years, let it go. 16 years of, conditions and besieging the area. It's so much so that the people of Gaza cannot produce anything of theirs. Everything what they have comes from Israel. Nothing can go out or come in without the permission of that country. So, Save the Children, organization called Save the Children, says that killing of children in Gaza has surpassed this 1 month, okay? The total number of all global conflict zones since 2019. Since 2019, from all the conflict zones, how many children were killed? They are killed in just 1 month. Okay, so they bomb hospitals, we know that. They cut down power supplies, and we have seen in recent days that power supplies are cut and children in incubators are not, their supply is cut. So several children are affected because of this. So many things we see. What happens is when Palestinian resistance does something, the world world is awake and world sees a little about these conflicts. Otherwise, this is an ongoing thing actually. Every day this happens. Every day they are checked. Every day they are killed. Every day they are humiliated. Every day they are illegally detained. Everything happens every day and no one talks about it. They have to find by resisting themselves, they find a way at least that some people talk about it. Some people come out with something. Let us just take a minute and think about our children in that stage. We can't even see a reel, we can't even see a video or listen to anything for half a minute even. We see them half a minute, we see the video half a minute and then we close it. We cannot see that. Just imagine what is the state there. Why aren't we talking about it? Why aren't we supporting the cause? So this is nothing but a genocidal attack in Gaza. We are witnessing genocide in real time actually. We are not just listening to the history and this happened. No, we are witnessing it. So all these things that are happening to children, all these conflicts that the children are facing, whatever we mentioned today, it's binding upon us to look through it and find solutions for it. At least in our capacity, whatever we can do, send our things to the government or talk against it, and media, we really say that okay, all the media is in the hands of the Zionists, but then we have social media with us. We can put in our word in those platforms. Now, it's any kind of conflict, whatever kind of conflicts I mentioned, government is responsible to take care of the children of that country, actually. We know that, right? The UN Convention on the Right of Children, signed by 194 nations, it says that states are to guarantee the well-being of the children. 194 countries of the world have signed this convention. And it states that government is responsible to take care of the children. So strict legislation should come against the crime against children. Not only legislations, we have so many legislations in our country, we have so many laws, rules, but then it doesn't happen. We need to talk about it. Subsidized child care is very important. I remember the welfare state of Khalifa Umar radiallahu anhu. His welfare state was a model for all the government and rulers, all the governments and rulers. He was a pioneer of introducing old age pension actually. He was a pioneer of introducing child allowance. As soon as a child was born during his administration, as soon as a child is born, allowances starts. As soon as a child is born, the child allowance starts. So every state, every government should work for this. Every government should do this. And as citizens, we need to remind the government that they have signed this convention and they have to do this. The great Nelson Mandela once said, "The children who sleep in the streets, reduced to begging to make a living, are a testimony to an unfinished job of the governments, of the states, of the world at large, of the authorities at large." So, children, I'm concluding, children are frontline targets everywhere. We know that. This is a moral crisis of our age. That the children are frontline targets everywhere. This is a moral crisis of our age. Let us not accept this as a new normal. It's becoming a new normal. Children in conflict, let them be in a conflict zone. Nothing is going to happen. Okay, it's becoming a new normal, and let us not be a part of the new normal, and let us not accept the new normal. You remember we grew up singing or reciting poems of Subhadra Kumari Chauhan, which says, "Baar baar aati hai mujhko madhur yaad bachpan teri," right? Where is the madhur yaad for our children? For our small kids, when they grow up, what would they say? What would they tell that madhur yaad is? Thomas Hood also writes about childhood. I remember the house where I was born, the little window where the sun came peeping in at morn. And then so many things about the childhood, fantasies and childhood accomplishments, what they did. Let our children cherish their bachpan, cherish their childhood. Let them have good memories of their childhood. We need to, children are 1/3 of our population and all of our future. Some great man has told that. Okay, children are 1/3 of our population, but all of our future. So we need to wake up and give a wake-up call to all human beings around us that our children are in conflict. They are in conflict. They are in crisis. And when they are in crisis and they are in conflict, it puts the whole humanity at risk. So may our children flourish and prosper and be happy and grow in a happy environment. Let us pray for that. Let us make dua for that. Let us work for that. Let us raise a voice for that. Thank you for your patient listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
It's important to remember that children are the most vulnerable victims of any conflicts. They bear the brunt of violence and suffer the most. Thank you so much, Madam Sameena Afshan Sahiba, for your explanation. Your thoughts and ideas have enlightened our minds and have shown us a new path. It was very inspiration to us. Thank you so much. Jazakumullah khaira. We hope that the situation in Gaza will improve soon, inshallah. All of us know today is 14th November. What's today? Today is Children's Day, yeah. So let's give some opportunity to our kids also. Children are flowers of heaven. Children are stars in the sky. They are future of the nation. Quran describes them as one of the main attraction of Jannah. Children are colors to our lives. They are coolness of eyes to our parents. I would like to present one more poem. For this poem, I want to call Rumesa Taneem Saidi.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Rumesa. मैं जगमग करता चांद बनूं, दिल मेरा मचलता रहता है, पर अम्मी मुझसे कहती है तुम चांद बनो तो क्या हासिल, वो सिर्फ चमकता रहता है, वो सिर्फ चमकता रहता है। बनना है तो बुलबुल क्यों न बनूं, दिल मेरा मचलता रहता है, पर अम्मी मुझसे कहती है तुम बुलबुल बनो तो क्या हासिल, वो सिर्फ चहकता रहता है, वो सिर्फ चहकता रहता है। ये चांद सितारे फूल और फल, ये बाग चमन खेती जंगल, हर चीज दिखा कर कहती है इंसान बनो तो अच्छा है, इंसान बनो तो अच्छा है।
I'd like to congratulate Sameena Afshan Sahiba, who's editor or e-magazine, who has come all the way from Mangalore for all of us for our event. She's also authored a book in Kannada and translated books from Urdu and English to Kannada. We are celebrating 14 November. As we all know, it's a Children's Day, and it's a birthday of our first Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. As we talk of Children's Day, we think of lovely children running in the park, playing on the swings and seesaw. We also think of children having sweets, juices, ice creams, chocolates. However, we also need to think of those children who cannot afford school or a good school, and these lovely things to eat, not just on a Children's Day but any other day. We have to think of children who sell balloons at the traffic intersection. We have to think of children who sell books, who should be going to school with their own books. We have to think of children who are not allowed to come into this world by their irresponsible parents. We have to think of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who made it a crime to indulge in any kind of feticide. Every year we must pledge to allow every child whether a boy or a girl, to come into this world unhindered, and we have to make a decision that every child of any religion or caste should be in school till the age of 14 at least. With this note, I thank Jamaat-e-Islami Hind Women's Wing to help organize this program. I thank Rahmatun Nisa Madam, who is National Secretary Jamaat-e-Islami. I thank Shaista Rafat Saiba. I thank Aura team. I thank each one of you who made it possible. Jazakallah khair.